It is Monday, December 30, 2024, the 364th day of the year. And I am in the F-150. Really and truly, being in the F-150 is like, for me, returning to my roots, returning to my gig economy roots, returning to my gig app roots. In that, before I started the Gig Geezer channel, I drove an F-150. I drove also my Taurus. I drove a Maxima, and I drove then prior to that a Pathfinder and another Taurus. So I started out driving mostly passenger vehicles, and so I've not attempted really to come out here and do any gig food delivery work since November. It's been over a month, and I can see why I haven't. But then again, the truth of the matter is that I've had other opportunities that have more than filled that space. In that, much of the earnings that I managed to produce over the past month and almost a month and a half have been on last mile gig delivery opportunities, some cash game opportunities, and some load board opportunities, load board / brokered opportunities. And so I've not really had it's not really been, for lack of better words, logistically possible or logistically feasible for me to do gig food delivery work, because the other stuff has been, again, the other stuff is more than made up the slack. This is actually my second attempt going out. My first attempt included my going over to a store and get some jugs of water, and also replaced windshield wipers on the F-150. In fact, you see here on the inset, one of the windshield wiper blades had started to fray away, and the other one had been worn. Kind of surprised though. I mean, I had those blades probably for 2 years, maybe 2 years, but then again, things don't last like they used to. So I know I've been at it for about a couple minutes so far, and I also realized that people's attention spans are much shorter than they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. So if you're looking for action from me, there hasn't been much action in my market, the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area. In fact, I'm amused at the reality how 3 years ago, man, if you weren't out by 10 o'clock, you might have missed out on some action. You had to be out by 10 o'clock to get in on a prime action. And what I mean by that were the large order opportunities on the DoorDash app, and for that matter, catering order opportunities from 2 years ago. There weren't as many people on the apps, and I think that's where I enjoyed more success, because there weren't as many people on the apps. And so that means that the opportunities that are out now, they're spread out among more people, and so you don't see as many as you used to, unless you play their game and accept all those bad orders before you may see something that's worth your while. Now, what I've seen so far, like on UberEats app, I've seen orders that are pretty much where you're paying them to deliver their stuff. I'm talking about orders 9 miles, the offer $3 and change. In fact, here's some right here on the inset. On the DoorDash app, typical DoorDash orders. I mean, really bad orders. And then there's GrubHub. Yeah, GrubHub. I mean, that's the forgotten app now, which was at one time, as late as early 2020, the number one gig food delivery app in the U.S. marketplace. Now it's an afterthought, and you pretty much, I don't even know where to begin with GrubHub. I guess you have to still be on a schedule in order to see order opportunities. You have to be within a certain zone, and then you may see order opportunities. Then there's Instacart. Now, Instacart has been an app that has kind of carried me at various points throughout the year. And I could say that really over the last couple of years. At various points, Instacart has been the app. But the quality of opportunities aren't there like they were 4 5 years ago. And I say 4 5 years ago, looking ahead to saying that in 2021, 4 years ago would be 2000. I'm saying that looking ahead to 2025 because 4 years ago in 2025 would be 2021. 5 years ago, obviously 2025 would be 2020. You see a lot of what I see a lot of orders that kind of catch your eye dollar wise. They want you to, for example, if it offers $26, they want you to drive 20 plus miles or even more. If you see something for 30 something dollars, it's typically a triple stacked order, and they want you to drive 30 plus miles. Yeah. So if you ask me, have I missed anything? I don't think so. I don't think I've missed anything because these orders do not make it worth the while. But it could be just my market because I look at other content and I see how some drivers are able to stay busy, regardless of whether I agree with their choice of order opportunities. They're seeing a certain flow of volume that at least allows them to say that they're trying to make things happen most of the time. But then again, in my market, well, my market is very much dependent on the major university, and that is South Carolina, where Dawn Staley, the noted women's basketball coach, that's her domain now. School's out, and the students won't be back until this weekend. So I think just that little boost of activity won't occur until like Friday, Saturday, maybe as late as Sunday. And if you're rideshare, you're definitely looking at probably Sunday evening when they start coming in. Some throughout the day, throughout Sunday, but definitely Sunday evening when they start coming in. One thing I remember back 2016, 2017, 2018, you were able to really capitalize off of students when it was time for them to go home because there was the surge multipliers, but also there were no intermediary services that were cutting out the middleman, which would be us, the rideshare people, because like if they were going to Charlotte, typically that was an $80 to $100 opportunity. But what happened was the school and other people got smart and started offering shuttle services up to Charlotte for much cheaper amount of money, and therefore many of them started taking up on that, and so that's cut out a lot of opportunities. Then again, just now knowing over the time how Uber and Lyft have cut the rates per mile, cut things to such that that $80 to $100 opportunity to Charlotte from Columbia is probably now $50-$60 at the most. An opportunity to Charleston, if you go from Columbia to Charleston, was typically $100, easily $100. That's probably about $50, $60, maybe $70. I'm guessing that because I've completed 5 rideshare rides since March 2020. Now, I just happened to accept my first gig food delivery opportunity in over a month, and it's on UberEats. And it's a pickup from a Mediterranean place going over towards, I believe, the hospital area. And it's offering $14 and change. Something that used to be very common back 2020, 2021, 2022. Very common to see order sizes of that. In fact, you'd see them twice as large. But it is what it is. So what I'm going to do is kind of do a partial documentation of that and really wrap up this particular segment of the Gig Geezer. I feel that I'm not going to stay out here 3, 4, 5, 6 hours and maybe get one order an hour. that's worth my while. Just not going to do it. I mean, I've got something lined up for later on that will more to make up for being out here 3 days doing gig food delivery work. So that's kind of where I'm at with things. So I guess I'm not that completely out of touch with gig food delivery opportunities. But what was interesting about this pickup, even though it's 3 items and it's going to a doctor's, a medical park that's actually in the shadows of one of the major hospitals in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area. But here's the deal. What was interesting was that I was there for, let's just say the guy's name was Charles L. Someone comes in behind me and he's coming in for Charles S. Just using those names. The lady had given me Charles S.'s order. And so it dawned upon her, it's like, oh, I got 2 Charleses. So check yours, check your ticket to ensure that you got your Charles order. Come to find out, I had Charles S.'s order, so I had to hand it over to the other guy. So kind of reminded me of a couple of stories that I'll quickly share in my days. One, working a call center in which on consecutive calls, I had faith and then hope to call, but I didn't get the trifecta of charity. And then, true story on this one. This actually happened at a restaurant that's probably, from this point of documenting, less than 5 minutes away. I had pickups for Hannah and then Montana. I should have taken a picture of that. That was a classic. I mean, for all the deliveries that I've done, and I've done thousands of them, I never had Hannah and then Montana to pick up. But anyway, so while I'm at it, what I'm going to do is share some near year-end numbers. Quite frankly, I should have done a 2-year anniversary gig user segment, but I didn't. I've been more so into doing the live streams and then sharing how I had earned, I had reached the $100,000 production milestone for the 2nd consecutive year. And I may have, and I did break down some numbers, but I'm going to break down the numbers again because I'm closer to year end with it being December 30. And yes, I do have a load board opportunity that I'll be doing later. It's not going to be, it's only going to make a very small difference in the numbers. Now, entering today, I have produced, generated in revenue through my delivery and transport operations, $106,622 exactly. Last year, based on my count, my delivery and transport operations produced, generated in revenue, $112,173.83. That's roughly less than a 5% difference. I thought the difference was going to be much larger until some things started to come together for me somewhere around October of this year, but they really didn't. I did not realize what I'd been trying to put into place until November, about a month and a half ago, early November. So we're talking almost 2 months ago now. Now, I've often said my delivery and transport operations has 4 major components: gig food delivery work, then there's the last mile gig app delivery work, then there's the load board / brokered opportunities. I've kind of adapted as I've gone with certain categories. And then there's the cash game, other 1099 opportunities. Working my way back, this year so far, I've earned $4,621.78 in the other 1099 / cash game opportunities. Again, some people have asked me, well, what's cash game? It's what it is, that which you've earned, opportunities in which you earn cash. Simple as that. brokered slash load board opportunities. I've said in the past brokered slash expedited opportunities, but brokered slash expedited slash load board opportunities. So far this year, I've earned $32,573.06. That is more than what I'd done last year, in which all of last year I did $30,913. And by the way, with the other 1099 slash cash game opportunities in 2023, it was just a tick under 5 G's, $4,998.52. So you might as well say 5,000. So there's a difference there. I've done more on the brokered slash load board slash expedited opportunities. A lot of that is because I've been better at negotiating for the rates that I've gotten on my opportunities. With respect to the 1099 cash game opportunities, it's been hit and miss, but I've gotten better with commanding what I've commanded on cash game opportunities. Last mile gig delivery apps. So far, $43,517.69. That's in 2024. That is more than what I did in 2023, in which I did $41,791.34. Now, why have I done more in 2024? Some of it is because I'm on more apps. Some of it is because I've been better at picking the right opportunities. Although I would say that I made more per opportunity for much of 2023 because many of the apps debuted in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area. And therefore, the apps were paying more. But I've also been able to add other apps to my cache of options, and some of those have paid better starting out. But again, I think I've also been smarter with selecting opportunities. In other words, I'm just doing better. And so therefore, when I'm critical of other people, it's because, hey, I've done it. And then again, I've been subjected to criticism as well from within my very small circle of people whom I interact with. I often make reference to a fast friend of mine because, hey, he does way better than I do. I mean, he really does. He kicks my ass a lot. He kicks my ass with regularity. My efforts are to put myself in a position where I am not wearing myself out. Now, I say that because I'm much farther along chronologically. Hey, 2025, I become Social Security eligible, okay? And then in 2027, 2028, no, at some point this decade, or possibly at some point at the start of the next decade the coming decade, I will be Social Security eligible for full Social Security benefits if they're still available. So therefore, knowing that I'm much farther along, I am not going to put myself in a position where I'm wearing myself out. Although I am, by most standards, in much better shape than a lot of folk, even half my age. But then again, hey, look, I admit that I'm not. All I can say is that I'm trying to make it easier on myself. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to make it easier on myself, knowing that I'm out here as I am. What happens is when you get older in life, you want to stay active because staying active is key to hanging around. Staying active is what keeps you healthy. It keeps you engaged. It keeps you sharp. And so I cannot be engaged and healthy and sharp if I am not able to get out and about. Simple as that. Or be able to get out here and earn what I do. And then again, quite honestly, just from a realistic standpoint, there ain't many things out here that's gonna put me in a position to earn the money that I'm earning right now. although I'd like to diversify and be able to have other revenue streams like anybody else. Now, the last category I mentioned was gig food delivery apps. This is where there's a sharp difference because, as I stated in 2023, I had looked to be less dependent on gig food delivery apps because between 2020 and 2022, gig food delivery apps was my main engine. It was my main engine. I mean, one year I recall I earned like as much as 25,000 on DoorDash app. I've hit 20,000 or more on the Uber and Lyft apps, respectively, and rideshare. Um, my reasoning for again, I'm really talking about something that's from 2 years ago, but my reason for number one looking to pursue ownership and operation of a Sprinter / cargo van was because I saw where gig food apps would stagnate, and they did. Okay, and my telling people back 2021, 2022, it was in my judgment that you needed to diversify, get on as many apps as possible, stack orders, do whatever you can to mix it up because trying to do it all on a single app, that ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna cut it. And I was right about that. But anyway, all that is to say, 2023, even though I was less dependent on those apps, I still earned altogether $28,488 on the gig food delivery apps. So far in 2024, $20,334.43. So if I were to break it down, as you see here, you see a much smaller percentage. In fact, the numbers are more like this. The last mile and brokered opportunities account for roughly 75% of my production, my revenue, which is really flipping things. Gig food delivery accounts for like 20%. And then the cash game / other 1099 opportunities account for roughly 5%. So those are numbers that I can live with. But quite honestly, I'd like to incorporate more cash game / other 1099 opportunities into the revenue mix. That's what I really would like to do now, because as soon as you get comfortable with the apps, as soon as you get comfortable even with the load boards, things change. And what I'll end with this, because I'm almost at the drop-off location for this UberEats opportunity. There's a broker that I dealt with a lot at the start of 2024. In fact, brokered opportunities still have been basically a significant part of revenue stream.
All right, to wrap things up, so it was nice to be out there, at least for a little while, attempting to do gig food delivery work, somewhat going back to my gig geezer roots, at least here on the YouTube channel. But was it worth going out there? Not really. Did I miss anything after over a month? Not really. Needless to say, if I start pointing out other facts, it's going to seem as if I was making excuses. So I don't want to do that. I will say that from a strategic standpoint, the drop-off location was nearby a freeway on-ramp. And so I was able to go straight to the on-ramp and head back here to the Geezer compound. And that's why I'm here at the Geezer studio. The order did pay as offered at $14.62. So it at least gave me a sense of I haven't lost much of a step being out there. But in terms of like going out there with the intention of making a couple $100s in a day, I don't know. I don't know if it is. I guess it's possible, but you're going to have to do a lot of work to get there. So that's where I'm going to wrap things up, at least here with this segment of the Gig Geezer. If you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm in Wood Lane. As always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.